Hey, what's going on, guys? It's John Shea from the No Shame Income blog. And today I wanted to talk about some of my experiences that I've had when it comes to connecting with other entrepreneurs. The biggest thing that I've realized over the last 6 or 7 years since I've been, really gotten involved in kind of like the internet marketing niche and online marketing, all that kind of stuff, is that one thing that I will never ever get tired of is actually connecting with other people, building relationships with successful people, people that are just starting out, pretty much anybody that is interested in entrepreneurship. I really enjoy connecting with them and just building relationships with them. So I thought in this video I would share a couple examples of how this has helped me. I talk about some of this in one of my other videos where I formed some partnerships, but I thought I'd just kind of shed some light on how I did this. The first thing I'll mention is that I started out, one of the very first things I did was I started podcasting. And of course, with a podcast, what's one good way to make it interesting? That's to start interviewing people. So, to me, I started learning about all these people like Pat Flynn and John Lee Dumas and Andrew Warner, all these really successful entrepreneurs. And I set out a goal. I said, I want to interview all these people. And I was successfully able to do that. And a lot of people would come to me and say, how did you interview, like Pat Flynn, or how did you interview John Lee Dumas? And, all these people were really like shocked that I was able to just go out there and interview them. And Pat Flynn was actually one of the first people I interviewed. I think it was like my 12th episode. So I was still really nervous, like not knowing what I was doing. And just very I remember how excited I was the day before I did it because, he's so big in this industry, has a huge following. So that was something that was really big for me. And ultimately what it really came down to was just asking. I didn't have to go through hoops or try to have someone introduce me. I just found their contact information. I sent an email and said, hey, I have a podcast. I'd really love to interview you. And that's pretty much it. From there, they, picked a date and time. Some people I had to wait months. There was one person that actually had told me, it's going to be 6 months until we can actually do the interview. I believe that was Ramsey Taplin of blogtyrant.com. So that took quite some time, to be able to interview some of these people who are really well known. But, it was worth it for me to wait and, follow back up with them many, many months later. I thought I'd just share some of the experiences I've had. One of the biggest benefits I had of interviewing people and just, using this as a way to connect with others was, I interviewed someone by the name of John Haver. I think this was my 13th or 14th podcast I ever did. John was doing pretty well at the time. He was making good money off of a student loan niche site, and really was starting to kind of get picked up, I guess, in the online marketing niche. Really wasn't super big, but he's much more well known now, I would say. And what eventually happened was, over time, after about a year, since we had done this interview, we connected back and eventually ended up forming a business partnership to do an SEO service together. Another example was I interviewed a lot of different product creators, people that create products, and they actually would just give me a copy of the product. Almost every single one would just give me a copy of whatever it was that they were promoting. And in a lot of cases, some of those people, for example, there's a guy by the name of Tom E. He released one of the biggest pieces of software that, really just kind of hit home with the Warrior Forum crowd and the JVZoo crowd. It was called Arbitrage Underdog. And I actually ended up doing a review of his product, and I used it to make some money. I ended up basically earning some affiliate commissions by promoting it. And of course I was able to interview Tom. And now if I hit up Tom on Facebook, we're kind of buddies, and he knows who I am. I'm not just some stranger. And Tom actually has, stuff come up all the time where he's yeah, I get people hitting me up all the time on Facebook expecting me to promote their stuff, and, I don't even know who they are. And, for me, I was able to use that interview as a way to kind of, bring that to light and be able to build that relationship. And when I finally did launch one of my own big products, I spoke with him about it, and he was like, I'm really happy that you're doing this. And he told me that he would be helping me promote it. And, for someone like that to jump on the bandwagon that has this huge audience, he got product of the year. I wouldn't have been able to achieve that or had that kind of relationship had I not interviewed him. So I guess what I'm getting at is that, if you're really looking to build relationships with people, you should definitely go out there and interview some people. I would even interview people that are just starting out. I actually saw when I interviewed Pat Flynn, there was someone else. There were multiple other people that looked like they were just kind of newbies like me, just starting out, and they all were interviewing Pat Flynn as well. I think Pat he's just giving back, so he's just letting all these random people interview him. He's just down for whatever as a way to give back. But anyway, this guy Navid actually interviewed Pat, and I saw Navid interviewing him on YouTube. I saw the YouTube video. So I was like, man, this guy Navid's kind of doing the same thing as me. I was like, why don't I interview Navid? And then if Navid gets big, I now have a relationship with Navid. Even though Navid was really kind of like, he wasn't really anybody at the time. He was just kind of starting out like me. He was building something. I could tell, he was heading in the same direction as me. So those were people I really wanted to build a relationship with. And he's a great example because he ended up actually building what was called a virtual summit, and he made something like some crazy like 6-figure number, ended up building an email list and promoting an affiliate product by someone by the name of Ramit Sethi, who is a really big name entrepreneur. And he ended up becoming Ramit's like #1 affiliate. Ramit invited him out to lunch. And while Navid was out in San Diego, California, I was actually out there on vacation, and me and Navid got a chance to meet up for lunch and, basically talk. And he's living right off the beach, living with other entrepreneurs, doing really big things. He was kind of like in between going to some like vacation islands and all this other stuff. So it was really exciting for me just to kind of know that, I had interviewed him when he was like starting out, and now he's really having a lot of success. And I still have that good relationship with him. If I hit him up on Facebook, I'm not just some stranger, and now he's really, really successful. So you never know what kind of opportunities can come from those kinds of things. He could be handing out a free copy of a course that he just sold for $500, something like that. And again, I've even taken opportunities. Another really awesome thing that you can do beyond interviews is you could, as you learn new skills, you could approach other entrepreneurs and ask about teaching courses with them, co-instructing courses. So one of the people that I really looked up to in this regard was someone by the name of Jerry Banfield. He actually does a ton of online courses on Udemy, and he teaches on his own website, among other places. But he was really big on like video games and streaming video games. And I said to Jerry, we should do a Twitch TV course together. If you're not familiar with Twitch, it's a video game streaming service where people play games and they'll stream while they play the game and people can watch. So I said to Jerry, let's do a Twitch course together. And he was like, yeah, I have that in mind for the future. And, he was kind of blowing me off a little bit. So I took it to the next level, and I actually made an outline for Jerry. I literally built all of my own lectures, and I said, here's the gaps that I needed filled. I already built the entire course. I already had it ready to go. I titled it. I gave it a description. I priced it. I did everything that you needed to do. All that he had to do was come in and record videos based on subjects that I kind of gave him. And he was like, wow, I can't believe you did this. Clearly, like, he saw that I was taking action. I wasn't just like blowing steam and saying, hey, let's do a project. I actually went ahead and I started the project. And then I invited him to help me complete it, help me fill the gaps, add in a lot of extra value because he knew, this particular topic a little bit better than I did. So I said, come in, help me, really kind of finalize this. And he loved to do it. So now that relationship is, kind of blossomed because he has a website where he's getting thousands of visitors every month, and he's basically now got that Twitch course among a couple of my other really good flagship courses he's got up for sale there. So essentially we're, in a way, like, I can message him and, he knows who I am. I'm not just some stranger fan guy going, hey, I want to play Call of Duty with you or something. I'm like a guy that actually taught a course with him. We're making money together. And I was able to build that relationship by showing that I was willing to take action and willing to help him out. So that's something, too, that you could do. I've done the same thing with, I did this with another fellow by the name of Doug Cunnington. We actually did a keyword research course together, and Doug is really well known for creating what's called niche sites where you sell Amazon products as an affiliate. So that was another really good one. And yeah, I thought you guys would just find this video useful. If you're looking to connect with people, the best thing you can do is, offer some value up front. Don't be begging people for stuff. Just simply go out there and, you know, if you start an interview show, that's a really great way to build some relationships. Even if you don't have a big audience, you know, you're still going to build relationships. And that's kind of what happened with me when I was doing interviews, you know, quite often. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, if you like these videos, feel free to like and subscribe, leave a comment. I'll be doing a lot more videos like this, and I look forward to sharing more tips like this. Thanks.